Hey, it's your host, Dr. Kathleen Walls of Dr. Walls and Friends, and we are here today with special guest and principal, Mr. Naseed Gifted. We'll be back in a moment on Dr. Walls and Friends. I'm Dr. Kathleen Walls.
And I'm Kamaya Lizette, eclectic soul and multidisciplinary creative Woody.
And you are watching
Dr. Walls and Friends on UCCN. Dr. Walls and Friends on UCCN.
When my purpose is and my passion's name, can I get through this? Can I find my way? Though the road is long and the mountain high, I will journey on, live my greatest life, yeah. Dr. Walls and Friends, Dr. Walls and Friends, Dr. Walls and Friends, Dr. Walls and Friends, Dr. Walls and Friends.
Welcome back to Dr. Walls and Friends. As I said, we are here with special guest to the show, Mr. Naseed Gifted. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. I'm doing great. Thank you for having me here.
Oh, I'm so excited that you were able to come down. We had the chance to meet a couple years ago.
Yes, that's
and
correct.
we're going to talk about that a little bit later on in the show. But today, this first part, what I want people to do is get to know you.
Oh, get to know me?
Get to know you.
Oh, wow.
All right, because this man right here, he has a lot going on. He is impacting the community in a major way and has been for a long time now. And so I think, you know, a lot of times we celebrate those people who are really popular or celebrity, but there's so many people that influence the day-to-day community, and you are one of those people. So I think it's important to lift you up and get people to get to know you.
Oh, wow. Thank you.
You're
I very much
welcome.
appreciate that.
So let's tell people where you're from.
Oh, well, I'm born and raised in Newark, New Jersey. Born, raised, and educated in
Yes.
Newark, New Jersey. So
Yes.
that's where I'm from.
And what's the nickname for Newark?
Brick City.
That's what I thought.
Yeah,
All
Brick
right,
City,
go ahead.
Brick
Represent
City.
Brick City. You know how y'all do.
You know, represent Brick City
That's right.
to the finest. So, that's New Jerusalem,
Yes.
in other words,
Yes.
too. So, that's a part of my journey, but my origins start, being I'm into comics today.
Yes.
I got an origin story, right?
Yes.
So, basically, born, raised, educated in Newark, New Jersey. Kind of left for a little while, but always had my foot in the community doing a lot of different things, from community organizing, making sure, certain politicians get into office, to a lot of grassroots efforts with regards to developing youth interest in the STEM fields.
Very powerful. Now let's talk about this growing up in Brick City. How would you say that has shaped you as a person and helped you in what you're doing now?
Well, for me, growing up in the bricks, growing up in Newark, New Jersey, if you can grow up there and make it and do what we're doing now, you can make it anywhere. There's a lot of adversity dealing with from drugs, crime, all of the elements that you would see statistics-wise. Jail. We've been exposed to a whole lot of things at a very young age.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
just be able to navigate and still persevere and push through. The one thing I always tell my students, sometimes you gotta be the only one.
Yes.
And that was kind of like the path that I was on.
Yeah.
I actually got a pass in a sense. I played basketball,
Okay.
so being that I played
What
basketball.
position?
I played small forward.
Okay.
I was never really big enough to be a shooting guard, so I was more of a swing guard, that
Okay.
type of
Yeah,
thing. So.
yeah. You're talking to a center here.
Oh,
Okay.
okay.
Maybe he'll put some background footage of
Oh,
some basketball behind. Look, okay.
Maybe.
Look.
But that actually between basketball and writing, that
Okay.
was my outlet.
Interesting.
And dealing with a lot of pain growing up. Without a father figure, always looking for a father figure, reached out to mentors, uncles, grandfathers, all of those things. And dealt with my mother, who was a single mom for the most part, raising three of us. And of course, I didn't understand then, the pain, the troubles of, what it took to actually do that, and and being able to give her additional support because I was a kid,
Right.
and then
Right.
you don't really understand those things. But I appreciate her even more now because we didn't have a lot, but we always had food. We always had a place to live. Never, well, not that I know of, had to worry about being evicted or anything
Right.
like that.
Right.
And that's some of the situations that I see with the youth that I deal with today.
Yeah.
Like they don't have home stability. They don't have an adult in the house that is advocating for them, and most of the time they're raising themselves.
Yes.
So when
Yes.
it comes to authority, when it comes to adult figures, they have an adversity to that because they've been doing everything on their own.
Right. Right.
So why do I want to listen to you
Exactly.
when I've been doing this on my own?
Right.
Well, I'm an adult child. They think they
Yes.
on your level.
Yes.
Those type of things. So
I'm so glad you said that because a lot of times those of us who work with children forget to take that into account.
Oh, yeah,
So
definitely.
way back in the day when I was a middle school teacher, I remember when somebody told me that the children sometimes don't see you as an adult. They see you as an older sibling,
yep.
right? Because
Yeah,
they have
older
somebody
sister,
at home
yeah.
the same age as you. And so the talking back is not talking back to authority. They're just talking back the same way they would talk to a family member. And then you also mentioned the parentified child.
Yes.
That person who's been cooking, cleaning, making sure younger siblings are getting to school, dress fed, and so forth. And so you're absolutely right. I'm managing this on a day-to-day basis before you, and I'll be managing it after you.
Yep.
So who are you to tell me what to do? And so getting teachers, administrators, people attuned to that reality, I think can help develop healthy relationships
Oh
between
yeah,
students
definitely,
and
definitely,
adults.
definitely. I mean, and just having them being able to focus on what's the next step, what's the
Yeah.
next level for them, because most of the time they live the day to day, and they're not understanding that this is a moment
Yes.
in their existence, and then that
Yes.
this doesn't mean that this is what the rest of their life
That's
is
right.
going to
It
look
doesn't
like.
define who
Yeah.
they are. And so as a storyteller, right, it's part of the story, it's not the whole story.
Yep. So that's been a part of my journey.
Okay.
As we move into the educational realm.
Yes.
I
Now,
never
how did that come up?
I never wanted to be a teacher. I went to school for engineering.
Okay.
And it's funny how I got into the STEM fields, but subconsciously I've been around the STEM fields my whole life.
Now, but you're saying STEM. Tell people what that means.
So STEM is science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. So my elementary school was George Washington Carver.
Okay.
I did know, but didn't consciously know that George Washington Carver invented 1,000 things
Right.
from the peanut.
Right.
From the reason that we have stain, soap, paint, all of those things came from his, even from the car, because Henry Ford actually used him to develop from his study of plants
Yes.
and agriculture of how he developed that to develop the assembly line for cars. And then that's how he was able to mass produce cars.
You better drop that knowledge.
So that right there was in my background. Like I said, I didn't know
Yeah.
studying that, which then I transitioned to high school where I went to Science High School,
Okay.
And found out about engineering and robotics. I had experience when I was in the 10th grade, still not knowing really what I want to do with my life. I thought about being a fireman at one point, and because one of the things that inner city youth is limited to the amount of exposure.
Yeah.
So if your family members went to college, you would be possibly exposed to college and have that talk about college. But if no one's doing that,
Yes.
then you're limited to what your surroundings
options
and
are,
So
right?
most people are thinking about basketball, rapping,
Yes.
or drug dealing,
Yeah.
because that's the thing that they've been influenced by each and every day. When they go outside in the morning, they see those individuals. When they come home in the evening, they see those
Yes.
same individuals,
Yes.
and that puts a numbness and actually glorifies it in a sense, because that is something that they see represented on a daily
Yeah.
basis. I mean, when people talked about minority growing up in Newark, I always thought of us being a majority, because the only time I would see any other race or color
Yeah.
was when I went to the hospital.
Wow.
you know, because my school at the time, you know, in the early 80s and early and late 80s was predominantly black. My teachers were predominantly black. I had a number of white teachers at the time too, but you know, like my whole neighborhood was black. We didn't even have Latinos there until later on in the late 80s or, you know, early 90s where, you know, the demographics kind of changed a little bit. We actually knew it was like one Filipino kid that was in the school, like was in the 5th grade when I was in the 8th grade. And that's because his father was doing his residency there because everybody knew. Because everybody knew who everyone was. I mean, we had a multitude of different blacks, you know, Jamaican, you know, African, you know, all of those.
A variety from the diaspora.
You know, all across the diaspora, but we didn't see those differences. You know, and you know, we probably lived more in a community then because we used to have neighborhood block parties, dance contests, all of those different things that made a neighborhood a neighborhood. And one of the things that, you know, we talk about what it takes a village, you know, as far as discipline, you didn't even want your mother to find out what was going on because your neighbor, because we always had the nosy neighbor that was sitting outside on the porch all the time.
Looking out the window.
Looking out the window, telling everything.
Everything.
You know, you may have someone's uncle or whatever. Those are all the individuals that helped shape, you know, shape me as an individual. That, you know, so even though I didn't have my father, like I said, I had my grandfather, I had my uncles, I had all of those other individuals who helped shape me. And then as I got older, you know, I yearned for more, yearned for that male figure, and then tried to shape my life behind that. But back into
So how in the world did you go from, and we're going to pick this up in the next segment. So we're going to take a quick commercial break, and we're going to find out how all of a sudden you said, I want to get into education. All right?
No problem.
We'll be back in a moment on Dr. Walls and Friends.